So hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews. This is Tyler from End Credit Reviews.
And Stephen Lawson, or the Big Steve, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
And we haven't done this in a long time. We went to a convention. Now, 7 years ago, we went to what was called WizardCon back in 2017, but we decided to go to a new one. This time it's called Fan Expo Chicago 2024. Now, I wanted to go for one. I haven't done this in a long time, and Stephen was on the fence about it until I mentioned a couple of people were going to be there. And he was like, yo, in his DMs and that. So yeah, we went there, and yeah, traffic was iffy, and that it was better getting back. We had to find a parking spot, of course. But the thing is, we went there, and it was super busy, busier than 7 years ago. I have to say, I think part of it, I think a large reason why was there were so many A-listers there compared to the previous years. But I'll let you. What was your favorite experience, Stephen?
Well, I mean, for me, let's face it, I'm biased, so I definitely was there for the Transformers guys. And I got to technically meet both of them, being Peter Cullen as Optimus and Frank Welker as Megatron. But I got a lot more time with Peter, and of course that's the correct priority for me because I voice Optimus for several series online, and he is a huge inspiration to me. So this was a possibly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially with him getting up there in age, to go meet him and kind of shoot my shot and see what he thinks and how he is, and just rub the flesh together, if you know what I'm saying. So, no homo. But no, but it was an interesting experience. It had its ups and downs overall. I think it was overall a very positive experience. The lines were pretty killer, like we were saying, but other than that, you know, the people we met there were very fascinating, and we ran into a couple friends from Kish and the area where we live currently. So shout out to Cameron and April and Luke, just to name a few. But yeah, it was a great time, and it was I was kind of a little apprehensive at first because I remember 7 years ago I was kind of shocked and a little disappointed, especially with the Doctor Who cast. We met Jenna Coleman in person, and she was just, frankly, a frigid person who had this sort of aristocratic peasant wanting to be kept away from the peasantry sort of energy about her. But the voice actors, in my experience, have always been a lot better, at least in that realm, because they're the voices behind. They don't have their entire personality consumed by narcissistic tendencies. And in this regard, they did not disappoint. So I got some good pointers on career advice and things to look into for my repertoire, which I will definitely appreciate and apply in my voiceover career, if you want to call it that. And it was quite an experience. But what did you think, Tyler?
Overall, I'm in general agreement with you in ways where it's like, yeah, in ways it's very fun. Other times it's like, dragging. I mean, it was a little bit worse for me physically because at one point I got a headache for hours on end because there was a little bit of yelling within earshot of me because how close we were together, because some guy was yelling at someone for cutting in line. And then also there was a fight that almost broke out at one line I was in because I guess someone bumped into the other, and then some swear words were exchanged. But trying to go in order as possible, so we were hoping to meet, those guys that Steven talked about, but they weren't going to arrive till much later, so we got in line. Well, at least I got in line for Sophia Patilla, and then Steven went around to look around and that, and then when he came back, I'm like, oh, Michael Baine's here from the Terminator movies, so and other ones too, so I went in line to him, and while Steven did a placeover, because I don't know when Sophia was going to show up, and then I'm like a few people away from meeting Michael Bain, and then I got a call from Steven like, oh, she's here now. I'm like, okay, so I had to be as conservative as possible with it. Since I wasn't, paying anything, I just wanted to ask him some questions. And I told him like, yeah, The Terminator is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I asked him what his thoughts were on the other portrayals of his character compared to like some of the other Terminator movies afterwards. And he said, I haven't really seen any other ones after the second one, maybe clips from, Genesis. But I feel like everything that was written by James Cameron, or at least he called him Jim Cameron, is like real and legit. And like, yeah, he's one of my favorite directors. And he was like looking right at me, like giving his full attention, talking to me in this kind of serious manner. It's really meta seeing this person talking right to you when you just see him you're just used to seeing them in the movies for a long time on a screen, not in real life, like right just a few feet in front of you. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, my heart rate kind of went up a little bit because I was trying to keep cool in that. And I kind of compare it to like, let's say you go to the wild and you see like an animal right in front of you. And you just have to, try to keep your cool in that, not like, freak out or anything like that. But I also say that in that moment, you become the actor and they become the real person in that moment when that happens. But it was cool meeting him. He was very genuine. Even though I wasn't there to buy an autograph or do a photo with him, he was just very nice and very cool and really took his time with me, which is nice. I really appreciate that. So then I went in line with Steven, and I decided to let him go first to meet Sophia because in exchange for him, wait in line for me. So we talked to Sophia Botella, and I showed her my book, which is 100 Years of Universal Monster Movies. You can check it out right now in places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, and both hardcover and ebook digital. Anyway, check it out and enjoy. But anyway, so she was impressed by this book, and she signed it. And then she was like, wow, was impressed. She was kind of going through it. And I showed her the moment in the chapter of The Mummy, the one she was in with Tom Cruise. And it was this call sheet I have. And I explained it to her what it was. It was for a scene that she was in. And she's like, where'd you get this? And I said, eBay, because that's where I got it at. And she was impressed by it. It was really cool. Even though she was wearing a mask, I could tell in her eyes that she was impressed by that. And I asked her what the plans were for the Dark Universe with her character. She said there was supposed to be some like team up eventually, but there wasn't. It's been so long, she doesn't really fully remember the details. But I'll let you give your 2 cents on her.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say she was wondering what else was big other than that book, but no, no, it was interesting. I definitely felt a little uncomfortable with that situation because like they were her manager or whatever was really hounding for like, what are you buying? What are you buying? And I'm like, I'm not buying. I just want to say hi. And she's like, clearly very disappointed and is just like, can you make it quick? And I'm like, yeah. So
that's what she said.
Yes. And I did get to meet her and ask what she liked about working on Rebel Moon, and she basically said working with Zack Snyder, and it was a very fun experience with a lot of range for her character, more so than some of her other roles. And then I was shooed along like the peasant I am. But she was a nice woman, and it was a fun experience. And being a voice actor, I had to hit several voice actors, and the next one we hit, I guess, was the guy that voiced it was Phil Morris, who did Vandal Savage from Justice League, and a whole bunch of notable roles. But he was very insightful on his advice for voice acting and voiceovers, and he gets it in an intuitive way that a lot of people that want to either just dismiss you or have been doing it for so long, he understood in a grounded, down-to-earth way, which is exactly what people that are interested in the craft need to hear. Not just, join your local theater, voice acting is acting, you should test your range, know your body. Okay, thanks, health teacher. But but no, it was he was a great man that we got to meet too.
Yeah, I mean, he also asked about what it was like voice acting in a Disney movie, which was Atlantis Lost Empire. He loved it. But the next person we met, or one of the other people we met, and I wanted to meet him, of course, and thankfully his line was pretty short, was Adam Savage, best known for Mythbusters, but personally I know him best as one of the people who worked on the miniatures for the 1999 remake of The Mummy. He worked on the opening shot of the movie, the miniature work of the scaffolding by the Sphinx. He said that he usually only has like a day to do it, but with this one he had like 3 days, so he was able to take his time and do a good job with it. And I showed him my book, and not only did he autograph it, he was impressed by it, but he actually got his phone out and took a picture of it, like he was going to do future reference and probably buy it, which was pretty awesome. And I was telling him, like, I'm an author, I love these movies and that. And at the end, I told him happy 25th anniversary to The Mummy, which is this 25th anniversary this year. So that was really cool. Just like with Sophia, she actually, backtracking to Sophia for a little bit, she actually fist bumped me when I told her I'm an author and I got the book published and that, which was cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. And I had honestly no idea about that, about Adam Savage. So that was good for me to learn and know about him in person.
Yeah, and then another person I met, I try to remember if you started to go in line with Peter Cullen by this point, so I kind of wandered around a bit. I went to, sorry, I'm not the best with names. I'll let you pronounce this one, Steven.
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah, people know him best for being in shows like Breaking Bad and The Mandalorian, but for me, he was in a Universal Monster movie, which is Abigail. So I mentioned that, and I asked him some questions about that, and he told me that he finished all his scenes before the actor strike happened back in 2023. And then I asked him what it was like working with all that blood in that movie, because it's a very bloody movie, and he said, sticky. But because I wasn't paying for anything, he kind of was like, kind of like some other people, like, okay, you can go, or something like that.
Right. Yeah, had a very move along sort of energy about him. I similarly, right towards the end, caught him literally donning his cap and about to walk out like a dapper fellow, and I had to say thank you for being just so iconic as you are, doing so many daggum good roles of people with that sort of I'm forgetting the word, but stoic sort of reserve that borders on darkness. And it seems to have started, of course, with Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad, but he's carried that forward, and it's clear that that is a very clear part of his personality. And you don't want to generalize too much, because not all actors that play evil characters are evil people. But there are times where, certain personality traits are there for a reason that is just in the person in general. And it was very cool to see that he is the real deal. He is not always putting on an act. He is a stone cold killer. So that was very cool.
And around the time we're meeting Phil Morris, kind of backtracking a little bit, Larry Thomas, best known as the Soup Nazi from Seinfeld, we were like right next to him when he was on video doing this pay thing and said, "No soup for you." And it was hilarious. Just a little distraction here. It was around the time when he was talking to you, Steven. That's why I kind of tuned out a little bit for a moment when that happened.
Gotcha.
And then later in the day, I was like, okay, Wayne Knight's line's pretty short. But then when I get up there, she was asking me what I want to do. Just like, I just want to ask him a few questions about, like, Jurassic Park and Tarzan, because he did voice acting work in that movie. And she's like, but he was only going to do it unless you got to buy something to meet him. And I just walked away because I'm thinking to myself, this guy here, are the Seinfeld residuals not good anymore?
Yeah, I would guess so.
Boo. That's the only person I met that day that actually... they would demand money to even talk to him, give him the time of day.
Even his picture on the website looks like a mugshot. So, like, he's probably on edge.
Internally, I went, Newman. Yeah, another person that I met, there was like a short line. It was towards the end of the day. That was kind of short, but it was because I wasn't paying for anything. He was kind of like a little sidetracked, mass signing a bunch of autographs preemptively. Was that of Ben McKenzie. He's best known for playing Gordon on Gotham. But I asked him about Batman Year One because he voiced that character in that movie. And I said, it's such an underrated movie. It's so cool. And he's like, yeah, I like that being that one a lot. And he really enjoyed just working with the whole cast. It was such a good cast. And next door to him was his wife, Marina Baccarin. I think it's his wife, or at least partner. I'm trying to remember the exact details about the relationship. But yeah, her line was pretty long. I didn't, of course, didn't have a chance to even try to meet her in that. But yes, I mean, I got that, kind of that impression like, oh, you're not here paid for something. I'll give you the minimum time in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, with some people, like with Butch Hartman from Fairly Odd Parents, the creator of that show, I was able to talk to him a decent amount, and he liked my shirt, my Batman the Animated Series shirt of mine, and I told like, oh yeah, Channel Chasers, I love how you not just parodied that show, but also parodied other iconic classic shows in that whole entire movie. And he's like, yeah, that was so much fun just watching various cartoons from my childhood and kind of like joking about them in ways. And yeah, it was really cool to just meet him in that and just talk about it. And even before I talked to him, this one guy who could have been his son, I couldn't confirm because it looked a lot like him. He was asking, "Is your question like about the lore of the show, or I'm like, actually, it's just about a behind the scenes question, like the making of it."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so it's like it's not like a complicated question that they would have to really think hard about. It's more like what they've done, not necessarily the stories they told, but like just what they worked on.
That makes you think. Are certain thought processes behind paywalls, or do you have to insert coins into an orifice to, get that flowing in the brain or something?
Yeah, no, and I remember back to what you were saying earlier was that when I was when you were waiting in line for Peter Cullen, I decided, okay, I'm just getting in line with Rose McGowan because she's like right next door, and I had a hard time finding you because at one point I went to go get lunch while you were in line. The line was moving pretty slow, and I couldn't see you. And what didn't help was that the Wi-Fi was really bad.
It was so bad, yeah.
And I, and you were able to meet Peter in that. You had to wait like a little bit for me to finish up my time with, well, at least while I was in line to meet Rose McGowan. And because again, like I didn't pay for anything, that it was a little bit like move on, let's move on in that. In fact, towards the end, she started signing this other autograph thing when we're even done. But the thing is, I asked her like, what was it like working with Brendan Fraser on like various other movies, and she said that he's a good human being, and I get you can tell too. I'm like, yeah, I've been a fan since The Mummy.
Yeah.
And I showed her my Universal Monster book in that, and she liked that. And I asked her like just her own personal opinion, why do you think the horror genre has done so well in recent years? And she said, well, I think it's just been forced upon people or pushed too hard on people. And I get that. I was like, okay, but I was positive about it, like, thumbs up and that, like, bye.
I think that's a bit of a shallow analysis, but that's an interesting perspective from her that could say a lot, too.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of fun, but there was definitely some disappointments in that. Like, for example, some lines were too long to meet certain people. For example, like Ella Purnell, who was known for, like, shows like Fallout and Arcane, but also one that I think she wasn't there that long. She was behind the protective plexiglass. Was Marissa Tomei, best known for playing Aunt May in the MCU.
Yeah, it's too bad I didn't get to meet Aunt Bay personally, but
yeah, there are a lot of long lines. At one point, I wanted to meet Linda Hamilton, but then she abruptly left, and then tried later in the day. But then I was like, oh, a line's cut off now because there's so many people meeting her. And then also Edward Furlong, best known for playing John Connor in Terminator 2, and also the Battle Across Time 3D show that was at Universal at one point. He was there briefly. He had like a mask on, like Sofia Boutella, and I didn't see him for the rest of the day. He just kind of abruptly left. So I don't know what happened with that one. And then Lance Henriksen, who was also in the Terminator and also in various other movies. Long line for him, and that as well as also Robert Patrick, who was in the second Terminator movie. Long line for him towards the end. Like, if I could go back and, like, I could do another day, I'd go my way just to meet the Terminator cast with that regard. But, yeah, we did as much as we could for that day.
Yeah, and women were ovulating around Cole Sprouse. That's we could see that in real time.
Yeah.
It was also kind of a little disappointing that, like, we didn't even get a chance to really even see Rosario Dawson, Hayden Christensen, or Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill and Hayden Christensen apparently showed up not where their signs were labeled, in a place that was walled off from the peasants that didn't prepay for a very special, brief meet and greet on a different floor, which was very confusing. But Rosaria didn't show up at all, and that was too bad because I really like her.
Well, in Rosaria's defense, she was only showing up for Sunday. I didn't see anything for Friday or Saturday. with that one. Although Lance Henriksen was supposed to be Saturday and Sunday only, but then he showed up Friday out of nowhere to kind of surprise people, which was cool for him. But what's misleading about that is that you have this whole thing of, okay, autograph fee for Hayden Christensen and Mark Hamill, so we assume that, okay, they're going to be in the autograph floor with the other celebrities. But no, you have to pay another fee to just meet them, which is bogus. And especially Mark Hamill's $400 fee for an autograph.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. He probably wouldn't even be worth half of that time that you pay, like, in the service he would give anyways. You know, like, if you're paying that much, you might as well get a session with him or something. You know, that's insane pay compared to everyone else at the convention.
Yeah, it would have been nice to at least, meet and talk to one of them. I would have asked Hayden, like, about Revenge of the Sith, and I think it's a legit great movie. And admit that I was once negative about the prequels, but throughout my life, I've grown to appreciate them for what they are. And low-key, like, not just, like, enjoy them, but I legitimately love Revenge of the Sith as a great movie as it is.
Same here.
And, of course, I mean, with Mark Hamill, like, of course we would disagree on stuff here and there, and obviously, especially the $400 fee, ridiculous. But, voice of the Joker on Batman the Animated Series is awesome. And I just wanted to ask him about at least that if I ever got to, chance to meet him. But I think part of the reason why I was so ridiculously busy today was the fact that it was Charlie Cox from the MCU as Daredevil was there. And I think that was part of it. I wanted to kind of meet him, at least ask him about Dracula Untold, because he was supposed to be in that movie before he got replaced by Charles Dance. And I tried to go in there, but I couldn't even get in line because, oh, sorry, it's been cut off. And there was like we went to go do this photograph thing with some of the cast of Transformers. Half the people there were just for a photo with Charlie Cox.
It was insane. They were dirty Cox lovers, that's for sure. Like we were saying that in the line. These dirty little, there was like 3 to 4 times as many people. Okay, maybe the Transformers one was pretty big too, but like I'd still say it was half of the people that went to go see Charlie. So, like, I don't know what he's dishing, but, I get what he's in, but, like, geez, I don't think... It's not like it's Robert Downey Jr. or something. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I think they would have to have a convention just for Robert Downey Jr. if he showed up.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were just making all these puns about... about the actor's last name throughout, which I don't know if people will appreciate it, but it was funny.
Yeah, canceled. Sorry.
And then towards the end, we're walking out, and we're seeing all these photos getting printed. I'm like, wow, this place is printing out photos almost as fast as far as we're printing out money.
Yep. And I also got to meet, just briefly, and he talked for an extended period, Justin Brenner, for any... anime heads out there, he's the voice actor for Deku in My Hero Academia. And he was pretty insightful too, and a guy with a lot of positive energy. I can tell that he's young and kind of new to the industry, but that added a lot of insight to the contemporary market. And he was a genuinely great guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that I don't think really showed up, or at least I remember seeing. For example, I know William Shatner was there, but the thing is, I didn't even see him at all. Or Alan Tudyk, who is best known for being a voice actor. He's done live action stuff, but he mostly does voice acting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a few other people, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, that I didn't even see. I don't think they even showed up, or at least maybe not when we were around. But one I was looking forward to meeting a lot, but ended up not meeting because I don't know, maybe the schedule thing didn't work out, was that of Diana Pearson, who's best known for voicing Poison Ivy on Batman the Animated Series. Absolutely love this TV show, and it was disappointing that I didn't get a chance to meet her. I almost talked to Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine, but by that point the line was not moving very fast, and I had to meet back with you, Steven, for the photo op.
Sure.
And that, but I also didn't see a great Delany. She's a veteran voice actress for Avatar: Last Airbender, Scooby-Doo, various other shows. But yeah, that was I would say it's kind of disappointing that I didn't even get to at least see them.
I'm trying to remember if I saw her. Like, I saw her booth, but I can't remember if she was in it. So maybe not. Yeah,
me too. I saw the booth, but I didn't really see that. But yeah, before we wrap things up, aside from seeing some famous people in that, What was some of your favorite, like, I don't know, there's people doing cosplay and, dressing up and that.
Well, there was a lot of Deadpools, a lot of is it Jace, whoever's the blue-haired girl from Arcane.
Hmm.
Um, Man, there was a great Optimus Prime costume that someone did from G1 with the Matrix in it that I really liked. Was a kid of some sort, kind of 4'5" stature maybe, but um, I'd probably have to go that or there was a pretty good Chewbacca costume too that I saw walking through. So, but there was a lot of cool costumes, and there was also a Chainsaw Man costume that was pretty cool. But yeah, how about you?
So one of my favorites, ironically, I just by chance happened to pass this guy up. So this guy was dressed up as a crusader from the Crusades,
Yeah.
and he's like Christian crusader, like Knights Templar, and I passed him by chance, and I said, "Yeah, free the Holy Land, or take back the Holy Land," or something like that. Probably like that, someone got that. But
Yep.
also, there's this one woman that was dressed up as the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman from Batman Returns. I even saw this one guy dressed up as the Michael Keaton Batman from Batman. Also, one guy dressed up as the Jack Nicholson Joker from that movie too. But when like his face is kind of melted in that after the water's thrown in his face.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was some really cool stuff. But then there's also some people where it's like, do you even own a mirror? There's this one woman who dressed up as Rogue from X-Men, and just seeing how she's definitely too big for this part, I was thinking to myself, man, Sugar here has been having too much sugar.
Diabito. Yeah.
But yeah, and there was, I'm trying to think what else there was, but yeah, we said the problem with like some people having BO. And I did mention earlier about too how there was a fight that almost broke out early on while I was waiting in line with Michael Bain. But yeah, there was some interesting cosplay here and there. One of the best I saw, I wish I got a picture of, but we're kind of on the way out, was it was great one between it was this couple, this man and woman. The guy was Anakin Skywalker, and the other one was Padme from Attack the Clones. And it was really excellent how they're detailed their costumes. And they looked close enough to the part compared to other people I've seen cosplaying as those characters. But yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I also saw a few good vampires and Mortal Kombat characters I recall. So that's about all I have to contribute.
yeah, I did see some Deadpools. I remember seeing one. I forget if it was Deadpool or Wolverine with the skeleton of Wolverine from X Men versus sorry, from Deadpool versus Logan.
I missed that. That's great.
Yeah, I can't imagine myself getting all too dressy in that, getting all that hot at a convention like that.
It's got to be miserable. It's got to be miserable.
Yeah, for me, if I ever did like a cosplay or at least did like a character dress up at one of those conventions, I would dress up like Bruce Wayne.
There's that, or you could do it in the winter, where
Yeah,
it's going to be cooler.
yeah. For me, I would be like Bruce Wayne, dressed up in like this nice fancy clothes and have like the Batman shirt, Batman shirt underneath.
Hmm.
It's kind of like I'm secretly Batman as that character, so they would get who I am.
It's an interesting idea. Yeah, I've always wanted to cosplay as a Bloodborne hunter because it seems like a couple of Goodwill runs could make that salvageable in some way, shape, or form. But it's a lot of cloaks, so that would definitely be warm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any final thoughts we had in this one, but we would definitely do this again, or at least I would do this again.
Hmm. No, it was a great time, and I don't know how to exactly say it. It's not. There's some people that say never meet your heroes. I disagree. I think meet your heroes with an open mind is the advice I would give, because it was interesting and not what I expect, but there was a lot of insight and cool things to take away from it. And I do consider it an honor of a lifetime to have met the voice of Optimus Prime that inspires me to do voiceover to this day. The only other guy I've got to meet that kind of inspired me along those lines is Dan Green, the voice of Yugi, and I guess Knuckles. Random, but no, he's a hero to me.
Okay. Yeah, if I could meet anyone at these fan conventions, definitely Brendan Fraser and Hugh Jackman and various other people within the Universal monster movies. I'd probably go on my way to do some like high class like VIP treatment or whatever,
Sure.
if that ever if they ever came here and that. And I remember Brendan Fraser went to like the Orlando one and some other ones, but sadly didn't come here to Chicago, which would have been nice to have seen that happen.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean I can tell the difference between who are genuinely good, even if you didn't pay for it, versus who are like, yeah, I need you to move along. You're not gonna wait. You're wasting my time. Not giving me money.
Yeah.
You can tell like the differences between those people who are more humble in that, and they know you spent money here and wait in line to meet them, and they're a fan, of course, of that. And not everyone is flush for cash in terms of, oh, I can afford all these autographs,
Right.
and so on and so forth.
And it's a tough balance. The cheat code I think I found, and it's not foolproof, but if you ever catch one of the people, not necessarily that they're about to leave, but there's a lull for some reason in their line where there's just no one or next to no one because they went to a lunch break or something like that, they are more apt if you come with an energy that's very positive and kind of kiss-assery to them in that situation. I think they don't mind it as much because you're free publicity. And so that would be my advice for people that haven't gone to these conventions and want to, like get a few conversations in with people that they can't afford, 5 or 6 autographs. That definitely would be my strategy.
All right. So anyway, this is Tyler from Inquiry Reviews.
And Stephen Lawson, aka the Big Steve, on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video on this channel of mine, and we hope to make a lot more in the future. Please like and subscribe.